The cold December winds swept across the barren sands of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The air was sharp, the skies were gray, and the Atlantic breeze carried with it the promise of history in the making. On that morning of December 17, 1903, two bicycle makers from Dayton, Ohio, Wilbur and Orville Wright, prepared to attempt what humanity had only dreamed of for centuries: to fly. What happened that day did not just mark the success of a machine, it marked the beginning of a new era. This was the moment when the impossible became possible, when human beings rose into the air on a controlled, powered, and sustained flight for the very first time. The story of the Wright brothers is not just a tale of invention. It is a story of perseverance, vision, and the courage to challenge the limits of human imagination. Long before their historic flight, the brothers had grown up fascinated by mechanics and motion. Born in the late 1800s, Wilbur and Orville were raised in a family that valued education, curiosity, and innovation. Their father, Milton Wright, encouraged them to read widely, and their mother, Susan, had a gift for mechanical skills. From childhood, the boys tinkered with toys, machines, and bicycles, laying the foundation for the genius that would later change the world. The spark that ignited their dream of flight came in 1878, when their father gave them a small flying toy, a helicopter-like contraption powered by a rubber band. The toy fascinated them, planting in their young minds the idea that flight was not just the fantasy of birds, but a possibility for humans too. That childhood fascination never left them. By the 1890s, the brothers had opened a successful bicycle repair and manufacturing shop in Dayton, Ohio. But while they built and sold bicycles, their true passion was elsewhere, in solving the age-old problem of flight. At the time, many had tried and failed. European pioneers like Otto Lilienthal had experimented with gliders, tragically losing his life in the pursuit of controlled flight. Others believed that if humans were ever to fly, it would require massive machines or balloon-like airships. The Wright brothers, however, approached the problem differently. They were practical men, engineers in spirit, who believed that flight required three essential elements: lift, control, and power. The first major challenge was understanding how wings generated lift. The Wrights studied bird flight carefully, noting how birds tilted their wings to maintain balance and direction. They also turned to science, building their own small wind tunnel to test over 200 wing shapes. This experiment allowed them to gather accurate data that no one else had collected before, leading them to design wings that could generate efficient lift. The second challenge was control. Unlike earlier inventors who focused only on building wings and engines, the Wright brothers realized that without proper control, flight would always end in disaster. They invented a system called wing warping, where the edges of the wings could twist slightly, allowing the pilot to control the roll of the aircraft. Combined with a movable rudder at the back, this system gave their flying machines stability and maneuverability. The final challenge was power. Bicycles had taught the Wrights about mechanics, gears, and chains, but building a lightweight engine was another story. Working with their trusted mechanic, Charlie Taylor, they designed and built a custom gasoline-powered engine that weighed only 180 pounds but produced 12 horsepower, just enough to get their machine off the ground. By 1903, their dream had taken shape in the form of the Wright Flyer, a fragile-looking biplane made of spruce wood, fabric, and wires. Its wings stretched 40 feet, and its twin propellers, powered by chains, pushed it forward. It looked more like a giant kite than a machine of the future, but in its simplicity lay genius. On the morning of December 17, 1903, the brothers and a few witnesses gathered at Kitty Hawk. Wilbur won the coin toss to attempt the first flight, but crashed during takeoff. Now it was Orville's turn. With Wilbur steadying the wing, Orville lay on his stomach in the pilot's cradle, gripped the controls, and started the engine. The Flyer rumbled forward on its wooden rail track. For a brief, breathtaking 12 seconds, the machine lifted off the ground and soared 120 feet through the cold winter air. Humanity had flown. They would make 3 more flights that day, with Wilbur's final flight lasting 59 seconds and covering 852 feet. To modern eyes, these distances might seem small, but in that moment, they were monumental. The Wright brothers had achieved what no one else had: powered, controlled, and sustained flight. The significance of this achievement cannot be overstated. For centuries, philosophers, scientists, and dreamers had spoken of human flight, but most dismissed it as impossible. The Wright brothers not only proved them wrong, but opened the skies to humanity. Just 66 years later, the lessons learned from that fragile wooden plane would send astronauts to the moon. The road to recognition, however, was not immediate. In the years following 1903, many doubted their claims. Photographs of the flight existed, but skeptics argued that true flight had not been achieved. Determined to prove their success, the brothers continued to refine their designs, conducting demonstrations in the United States and Europe. By 1908, the world could no longer deny it. The Wright brothers had changed history. Crowds gathered in Paris and Washington, D.C., marveling as the Wright Flyer soared above them. The Wrights' invention did not just revolutionize transportation. It transformed warfare, commerce, and global communication. Airplanes became tools of exploration, trade, and connection. They shrank the world, turning oceans into mere hours of flight and making distant lands accessible like never before. Yet the brothers themselves remained humble, always insisting they were simply pursuing an idea rather than chasing glory. Tragically, Wilbur's life was cut short in 1912 when he died of typhoid fever at just 45 years old. Orville lived on until 1948, witnessing the airplane evolve from a fragile biplane into powerful jets. He often reflected on their humble beginnings and the incredible journey from bicycle shop mechanics to aviation pioneers. Today, the legacy of the Wright brothers lives on in every aircraft that takes to the skies. Their first flight at Kitty Hawk is commemorated as one of the most important events in human history. Museums, memorials, and countless books celebrate their story, but perhaps the greatest tribute is the continued human exploration of the skies and beyond. The Wright brothers taught us that innovation requires patience, persistence, and the willingness to fail. Their success was not the result of luck, but of methodical testing, relentless problem solving, and unshakable determination. They proved that ordinary individuals, driven by vision and hard work, can achieve extraordinary things. As the world looks back on December 17, 1903, we are reminded of the power of human ingenuity. The Wright Flyer's 12-second journey was not just the first flight. It was the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. It marked the moment when dreams left the ground and touched the sky. From Kitty Hawk to the jet age and beyond, every flight we take traces its roots back to that cold morning when two brothers believed they could fly and proved it to the world. The wind still whispers across the sands of Kitty Hawk, carrying with it the memory of the Wright brothers' triumph. And as modern aircraft thunder overhead, we remember the fragile wooden machine that started it all. Their story is not just history. It is a reminder that no dream is too bold, no challenge too great, and no sky too high.